Got an '05 Mitsubishi Lancer. We'll just do an expansion valve on this thing. The way that you get to the expansion valve is you just follow the air conditioning lines. You'll have your high side line with your little window and pressure sensor here, and your low side right here. Just follow them. They go back here, down to the firewall, and this one's been removed, but basically it just bolts in right here. There's a little spacer block between the expansion valve, which is like an orifice tube. This is the old one, and it's severely blocked. It's stuck in the closed position. And the trouble with that is that your compressor will pump everything to the high side, and your high side will have all the refrigerant, and then you'll almost have, you won't have a vacuum, but you'll have very low pressure on your low side. It just stays that way. It doesn't produce anything cold. On your low side, it gets down low enough to where the sensor doesn't pick up that there's anything there, and then it shuts the system down. You know, basically your compressor won't be able to cycle after that. So here's the little spacer block that I was talking about. Your new one will come with some new O-rings, so you just put them in place. Make sure to oil them really good with your PAG oil. So what you do is this bolts into there. You see that the holes are not all centered, so you don't mess it up. But you just put this one in place and get everything to seat in as well as you can. And then the next thing that goes in is your expansion valve, and you want to have the side with the divots. See, there's divots on this side on the middle two holes, and on this one there's not. This side goes to the firewall, and the little knob thingy goes this way. Your low pressure line, or excuse me, your high pressure line, the skinny one, goes on the driver's side if you're in North America. And the divots are to accommodate these big long bolts there. You use an Allen wrench, and the Allen wrench, I use a socket type of 4mm like that to get them out. And it's just a 10mm that holds the line, or the manifold, the two lines together onto the expansion valve. And that's just the one in the middle there. So anyway, that's where the expansion valve is. What it is, this is like your lips when you pucker up and blow. But it's got some more mechanical nonsense in it to help it to fail and make the car people more money. It's like an orifice tube on a Chevy or something like that. It's just there's more to it with this. But when you put refrigerant under pressure, it's like your lungs pushing up and puffing up your cheeks. And this little thing is like when you pucker your lips to blow. If you breathe on your hand, you say you just take your hand and you just go, it's hot. It's the same temperature air coming up. When you blow with your lips puckered, it's cold. Now the effect of the Freon or the refrigerant, you know, it amplifies that effect. You know, if you have a propane tank and you ever leak propane, propane works awesome. It's just flammable, so we don't use it because it's like putting a bomb in your car. If you get in an accident with your condenser in the front, it could be ruptured and it could create fire. So you want something that evaporates just really fast. Something that has an incredibly low boiling point, evaporates really quickly oftentimes. So that's why they use the refrigerant that they do. And so again, I think that gives you a pretty good idea of what that does. A lot of people ask what things do, so I'm starting to add that into the videos. If you like this video, be sure to add it to your favorites, subscribe, like it, click like, and see more videos like this. Cheers. So here's what it looks like with the expansion valve, the new one, and the block in place. This is the intake manifold, as you can see here. I've got the bolts tightened down. As you tighten those in, you want to make sure that you have everything in order. Check with a mirror to verify that you have the O-rings in place on your evaporator inside underneath the dash. Make sure that you cover everything with PAG oil real well so that everything goes in together, and then tighten the top and lower bolts in the center in such a fashion that they go on evenly. Just like a pickle jar. You know, say I'm going to tighten this flashlight against that creeper, you know, for visual effect. If I tighten the top one down and get it bound this way, then when I go to do the bottom one, it'll tighten to about right there and stop. So you want to make sure that you tighten it by hand and wiggle it, tighten it by hand, wiggle it, tighten by hand, and then torque it down a little on each side, top and bottom. That'll make sure that it goes on well. If you have a leak in the system and you suspect that it's going to be down in there, if you use dye, you're not going to see the dye in there. You know, chances are really good that you won't, especially considering that where this is located, you have, let's see if this flashlight will stay. You have this cover here that covers everything so that you wouldn't be able to see it anyway. So basically, after this is on there, there's not a very good chance that you'd see any leaks if you were to have an O-ring problem in there. This is really good karma to whoever comes after you. You know, if you have all this buttoned up and you do a good job and you're careful with it, you're not going to have any leaks. Also, I forgot to mention that right here there's a clip for the high side pressure line, the skinny one. You want to unbuckle that so that you can get the lines down and out of the way. You also want to wrap something around the lines down there so that they don't get contaminants in them. Otherwise the contaminants can defeat the work that you're doing now by having some kind of a little piece of junk or whatever go down in there. It makes it sound like there's a Yugo that's going to get in the line, or a Chinese motorcycle like these little ones. Little piece of junk. I mean debris. So anyway, I think that's all I want to say. I'll show you what it looks like with the lines on here. So here's what it looks like with the lines in place and that single bolt holding the manifold of the two lines together onto the expansion valve. Here's the way that the lines look. Here it is going back. And here's my ergonomic foam pad that saves my back so I don't have to lay down. It's shedding a little bit. It looks like snow. So that's it. Hope you like my video.